I find that very often I'm asked, and I imagine you are too, of what do you need? What is it that goes into making a good interpreter? I've heard this from high school students, I've heard this from university students, I've heard this from 35-year-olds who want to change careers. But they usually assume that it's about language, like what language do I need? I don't assume that, and I guess you don't either, is what I'm going to guess anyway. So let's go into some of this. What do you need? What goes into making someone a good interpreter, capable interpreter? For example, name a couple aptitudes that interpreters tend to share.
Okay, I think that's right. Lots of people learn languages to a very high level, but that's not going to make you an interpreter. I think the three things that stand out for me would be, first of all, quick thinking. You've got to be able to think on your feet. You've got to be able to react very, very quickly, which is not everybody's ability.
Sure.
The other thing I think is to be able to deal with your nerves. And you don't have to be nerve-free. I think actually nerves are very healthy because they make you worry that you're doing it well. But you do have to be able to get over your nerves and perform. I mean, I can remember scuba diving and being at the bottom of the sea while I was training and suddenly thinking, right, I can panic and die, or I can concentrate and do what I'm supposed to do. And I think there's an element of that in simultaneous.
Performance anxiety.
Yeah, I'm sure actors have something similar. You've got to be a little bit worried, but you've got to get over it. And then I think the last very important thing is an ability to analyze what you're listening to be able to prioritize the most important information out of a broader range of information that you're hearing.
The first thing I would say is that people obviously think first and foremost about their languages, but over and above that, possibly even more importantly, I would say intellectual curiosity. You really have to be curious about the world, interested in the world, know how it works. That would be a key aptitude, I would say.
Well then, how about a skill? What skill or two might you add on to this aptitude, this propensity to intellectual curiosity?
Two I can think of that are very important is command of your mother tongue and the ability to communicate. You have to have communication skills.
Yo creo que tiene que ser gente rápida, mentalmente rápida, gente flexible, sobre todo hoy en día con esos mercados tan cambiantes que necesitan una capacidad de adaptación constante. Yo creo que la gente tiene que tener también la capacidad para diversificar, para verle el potencial a las cosas y también para renovarse constantemente, adoptando tecnologías, viendo nuevas posibilidades que la propia lengua como herramienta puede dar. Y por supuesto, como he dicho al principio, esa rapidez mental que es fundamental, esa capacidad de reflejos, de reaccionar, de tomar decisiones sobre la marcha. Eso es fundamental para ser un buen intérprete.
Okay, well then let's say that you have these things, you are similar things, and you're ready to study, you've made a decision, you want to become an interpreter. How about the educational foundation? What would you recommend in regard to how to structure your studies to best effect to become an interpreter?
Bueno, digamos que yo soy de la vieja escuela también. Yo creo que la interpretación es una herramienta de comunicación que creo que se tiene que adquirir a posteriori. Creo que cuanto mayor sea el bagaje de un alumno, el tipo de estudios que haya hecho, que sean muy variados, mejor.
How about the basic education? Now, training as an interpreter, people think of, is there something else? What makes a good foundation for a career in interpreting, educationally, personally?
In terms of your education, I do think you need a good, solid foundation. So, of course, a first degree in an area that might be of use. But I am of the opinion that conference interpreting is also very important. So that means doing a postgraduate degree in conference interpreting, if you can, after a first degree, so you're building. They're building blocks as you go along.
Right.
In addition to that, you really just cannot stop doubting. And by that I mean you have to keep your thirst for knowledge alive.
When you were either studying or beginning, what was one, let's say, vital attitude or approach to your profession that you think really was fundamental to you to get going, to enter?
Ouais, je pense que quand on est un jeune interprète, interprète débutant, et surtout quand on a la chance de travailler avec des pointures au début, comme c'était mon cas, je voulais vraiment arriver très préparé. Alors mes glossaires étaient impeccables, ma préparation à l'événement, dans la mesure du possible bien entendu, était nickel. Je voulais pas qu'on me voie comme le petit jeune qui débarquait, qui savait pas grand-chose, donc j'arrivais avec peut-être plus de préparation que nécessaire, mais c'était aussi peut-être un placebo pour me donner confiance.
What about luck? Did luck ever come into play, or does it for some people?
Absolutely. I think you do have to be lucky in this world, but you can't use that, I think, as an excuse. You can go out and create your own luck. I think, in sports, that's practicing. In interpreting, it might be practicing as well, but it's also meeting people, and you need to be out there in order to meet people, to get the lucky break where someone says, come and work for me, and it turns out to be a great client. And so being out there means meeting other interpreters at whatever events are available, practicing with other interpreters if there are practice groups happening, going to see agencies, secretariats, chief interpreters, having your own website, doing things so that you make the opportunity to bump into people and get lucky with contacts, because contacts are very important in this job. And yes, that's where luck can play a role, but make your own luck.